Test. Test.
It's 5:30. The Norfolk Public Schools District Board of Education meeting is called to order. Roll call.
Terry Bauer,
Present.
Cindy Booth,
Present.
Brenda Carhart,
Present.
Lindsay Dixon is ill with the stomach flu, Beth Shashikant,
Present.
and Sandy Wolf is out of town at the National Real Estate Conference and asked to be excused. We do have a quorum. We have 4 board members tonight.
I'll make a motion to excuse the absence of Sandy Wolf and Lindsay Dixon.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Terry and a second by Cindy. Is there any other discussion? Please vote.
Motion carried 4-0.
This is a legal meeting of the Board of Education as advertised by the means specified in board policy. A complete copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted in the boardroom for your review. A copy of the agenda is available at the desk of the recording secretary. Please stand as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. First, we will have the presentation, special recognitions, and this will include focus on the students, Washington Elementary ELL program.
I'm super excited tonight to be able to present this to everyone. There's just so many great things going on at Washington, and we're just going to honor a few of our students tonight with the things that they've done over the last couple of years. I think you'll be amazed at some of the accomplishments that they've already made. But before we get into that, I really want to give a shout out to our staff. A lot of things can't be accomplished without the communication, the collaboration that we do there. And it starts with, when we're talking about our ELL program, it starts with our teachers, our paraprofessionals within that ELL program, the communication they have with our classroom teachers, our titles, our SPED, and it's just, and then the rest of our paras in our building. And if you sit back and kind of look at the details that they go through to help accomplish great things, it's pretty amazing. I got to sit in and observe Mrs. Naranjo the other day, and she did such wonderful things and had such detail to lay the foundation for these kiddos. It was pretty amazing. So, I don't mean to take away from these guys, but the foundation that's been laid is outstanding. So I'm going to turn it over with Mrs. Naranjo, and she's going to follow up with the rest of the program.
Good evening. Am I supposed to stay over here or go in the middle?
Perfect right there.
Okay, I'm perfect right here. Okay, so I wrote this all down because speaking in front of adults is not really my thing. So, so my name is Sochi Naranjo, and I teach English language learners, or ELL students, at Washington. And as Mr. Speck said, we are a team at Washington. We work together, and I am truly humbled if you look over here at this section, how many teachers came to support us, people from the district ELL staff too. So I am very grateful to our families, to our students, and to the staff. So ELL students, ELL is an acronym for English Language Learners, and they have a few things, all ELL students have a few things in common. First, English is not their native language. Second, they have a heavier cognitive load because they are learning academics alongside their peers at the same time as they're learning English. Third, and most importantly, they are incredible students, and watching their growth is a privilege for me and for all our staff at Washington. However, these students are also very diverse. They come from different countries, including the United States, and Mrs. Lyon down there, this is something neat to Washington this year. Between where our students were born and where their families were born, we have, I believe, 12 countries represented at our school. So I'm pretty proud about that. Where was I? Okay. They come from different cultures. They have different cultures and traditions. They speak different languages, and they have various background knowledge and previous educational opportunities. ELL students must acquire English in 4 different language domains: listening comprehension, speaking, reading comprehension, and writing. We typically begin with basic vocabulary, beginning reading skills, and then we adjust the pace according to each student's progress and needs. So I brought a few examples of some of the things we might do at the beginning. We'll use flashcards to identify, to comprehend, and to read and write basic vocabulary in English. So those are people vocabulary, body parts. This is a decodable reader that some of the students have started with. And then these are some leveled books that help the students acquire even more English. So those are some things that, that these students started out with. The students visiting tonight will introduce themselves and say how many years they have lived in the United States or how many years they've been at Washington. First, they're gonna do it in their native languages, and then they'll do it in English. These students all started school at the emerging or non-English level, and you can see from these materials where they started. When they are done introducing themselves, they're gonna take a book from their current reading level and go around in a couple, you'll get the privilege of listening to them read and see just how much progress they've made.
Me llamo Hatsiri. Llevo un año Estados Unidos. My name is Hatsiri. I live here 1 year. Mana Kudis. Mana Kudis. Jete na Washington the these days. Moi. My name is Kudis. I was in Washington in 10 months. Hola, mi nombre es Michelle y he estado en Estados Unidos 1 año. Hi, my name is Michelle and I've been living in America for 1 year. Mi nombre es Carolina. Llevo 5 años en Estados Unidos. 5 meses.
Now, can you do it in English?
Okay.
My name is
I am Carolina. I lived here 5 months. Meu nome é Matheus. Eu moro nos Estados Unidos por 3 anos. My name is Matheus. I live in the USA for 3 years.
Hi, my name is Ansh. My name is Ansh. I'm a United States military battle. Hi, my name is Ash, and I've been living in the United States of America for 3 years.
So before I finish, I want to thank the families of these students. Our families are amazing. They support their children. They support the staff. So muchas gracias a las familias, and again to the staff. Mrs. Lyon and Mrs. Johnson over there have been on this ELL journey with me for, I don't know, 3 years, 4 years. So couldn't do it without them. And I also want to thank Mary Lur. Mary's in charge of the ELL program district-wide, and I want to thank her for listening to our needs and for advocating for us. So without further ado, the stars of the show will go around and show off their reading skills. So thank you, boys and girls, for coming. I am so, so proud of you. We all are so proud of you. Okay, whose book was this? Mateus. Caro. Whose is this one? That's yours. What? Oh. And Ash.
Come here, buddy.
Boys and girls, can we tell the people we're reading to thank you, please? Thank you. And then you can come back over here. We'll stay over here. And one thing I kind of wanted to add, it wasn't on my speech I wrote, but just a little fun fact, the ELL program in Norfolk Public Schools was actually started by my mom. If she could please stand up. So she was the very first ELL teacher in Norfolk, and Mrs. Bauman also used to be an ELL teacher, so yeah. All right, thank you so much.
Nice job.
Next item on our agenda is the Award for Excellence. Mrs. Bauman.
Thank you. Hi. All right, so I am up here this evening because 5 times a year we present to a staff member the Award for Excellence. And this award is given to a staff member that has demonstrated exemplary service to our students, to our district, to other staff in the district, and get nominated by their peers, maybe by a parent. We've had nominations from students. So we're going to talk a little bit about our recipient for November, but if he would come up here, Gary Obermeyer, the custodian, one of the custodians at Bel Air Elementary. Come on up here. You can stand with me in this awkwardly uncomfortable moment, right? Yeah. So in the nominations that I received from Gary, about Gary, there is more than we can read during this presentation, but I do want to highlight some of the things that I heard. One of the staff said, "What does it mean to be outstanding? Spend a few moments in the presence of Mr. Obermeyer, otherwise known as Mr. O, I found out, and you will see exactly what it means. Mr. O consistently shows his steady grace, commitment, and initiative. He goes above and beyond for the students, staff, and school." Another staff member said, "Gary is phenomenal. He doesn't just do what needs to be done, he goes beyond. I'm in awe of all he's been able to do. He really is the best." Another staff member said, "If you ever ask him to do something for you, he always does it right away, even if it's something that doesn't need done right away. He does everything with a smile and never complains." That's impressive. "He has a strong work ethic, get it done attitude, and is always willing to do anything. He does it all with poise and a humble smile." And the list goes on and on of all the great things that he has done. Several mention how he kept the building looking so great during the addition and all the extra work that came with that. There wasn't complaining, and he did it, it sounds like, above and beyond, so very impressive. So, Ms. Andreessen, would you like to say a few words?
I'd love to say, but I know Gary is ready for this to be over. I know he's very humbled by this, but not his favorite, so I'm just going to point out some words just through some of the things that our staff does, because I so appreciate you. Any administrator knows, like, right hand right here. I mean, he does amazing. So outstanding, consistent, steady, grace, commitment, initiative, top-notch, phenomenal, hardworking, kind, organized, humble, friendly, positive, driven, dedicated, patient, talented, and fantastic. You are all of those things. So we are lucky to have him. So congratulations, a well-deserved honor.
Mr. O, would you like to say anything?
I I would just like to thank the staff at Bel Air, the amazing staff, the teachers, and especially Miss Andreessen for her guidance and her support, and the amazing kids at Bel Air. They make my day.
Fantastic. Thank you. So Mr. O is going to get this plaque that I might have told the kids he may bring back and show them when I was there. He's going to get a $50 gift card to Hy-Vee for his own personal use. And then he also, this is a copy of all the great comments that were made. And then he will work with Ms. Andreessen to decide how they will spend $500 at Bel Air. When I announced to him that he got the award, we were in the lunchroom, and a few students had some great ideas. So I would imagine tomorrow they'll be sharing some thoughts with him on what could happen with that $500. But congratulations.
Thank you.
The next item is strategic action plan presentation, retention, and recruitment.
Yes, if you'd like to go, now would be a great time, although we do have a great presentation, but it's okay. Do you guys want to come up? I thought they were all here for our presentation. All right, so this evening we are here to talk about one of the goals that was part of our strategic action planning that happened and was approved back in December. One of the goals was that by 2026, MPS will implement a plan of retention and recruitment for all staff. Since that was approved in December, we met and had a committee formed that worked on ideas of how are we going to reach that goal. And the committee consists of central office administrators, principals, teachers from the senior high, junior high, middle school, and elementary schools, and community members. We met from January through May discussing the best ways to recruit new staff and retain our current staff, and then regathered together here recently to prepare for a presentation. The shortage of teachers is not only a local and state concern, it's a national concern, as you are all very aware. Our focus was how to employ the best teachers for our students and how to retain those teachers and avoid unnecessary turnover at Norfolk Public Schools. In the end, our committee came up with 3 objectives to address the recruitment and retention goal. And I have some committee members here that are going to help share some information with you. Objective 1 is community involvement, knowledge, and engagement. Specifically, NPS aims to foster community involvement, knowledge, and engagement. By partnering with community members and local businesses, NPS will increase community engagement and create valuable interactions between staff, families, and the community. We had several community members that were part of this committee. Angie Stinger was an essential part of this objective as well, but was unable to be here. She did provide each board member with a letter just highlighting her commitment and her role to recruiting and retaining teachers with Norfolk Public Schools. Lisa Langenberg is going to speak specifically about the objective and the action steps involved.
Hello. So the first step was providing information and access to educators for community events. We talked a lot about how these people come to the community, but they don't know that things are going to happen or what events are going on. And so one of the big things we talked about was just getting that information to them. How do we get these new young people, veteran teachers, to know all the activities that are actually going on? And like Angie stated, Angie Stinger was incredible because she is very, very involved in the community. So she was able to provide all kinds of information and things, and she gave us some ideas to bring to it. And so a lot of the conversation was just the importance of, once we get them here, how do we keep them here and get them to find the things that they like. It's obvious that we have a good school district because of the amount of people that come back to Norfolk that are alumni. And so just helping them to bring their spouse back and find their spouse a job, and or finding somebody else's spouse was a really big thing. The group plans to meet with the community, so these community members, to try and bring more of these events in so that we can maybe have like Norfolk Iron and Metal's new employees work with the new teachers, so then they can maybe intermix with each other, find different things that they like, get invited to go out, do different things, you know. They might have a single person if we have a single person, and then they will all stay. So just intermixing with the businesses and the communities with our teachers so that we can find things that are in common with each other. And then the second part is to create a business education engagement committee so that the teachers can go out and work with the businesses also to bring things in, helping invite them to maybe a jazzercise or to the Y, to a workout class or something, just to help them find something to interest them. We discussed having a tent at Music in the Park where people can come and intermix amongst other people to meet people out in the community. So trying to get some teachers and other business people combined together to bring these events and let people know. One thing that Angie spoke about is that they create these welcome bags. And so in these welcome bags, if we can provide them to our new teachers and have, you know, like local realtors or local businesses or restaurants or what's going on downtown, all of those different things, then it would bring light to some of those people and help finding and making a connection here a lot easier. I think that they have actually, Angie's already jumped in. I know they've done some of these things already. One of the businesses provided gift cards to Target for the new teachers at the start of the school year. I know that was super great for them to be able to go. I don't even know what the amount was, but just to get to go buy some new school supplies. Scooters provided all the teachers with drinks during parent-teacher conferences. Just little things like that make such a big difference and let our teachers know that the community members, notice and care about us also. So just the objective is just to continue with those groups. And Angie has lots of fabulous ideas. I wish she was here and could elaborate on it because she just took it by the reins. But that's pretty much covers that one.
And so this objective would not cost the district any money. It's more of a coordination effort that I would work with Angie Stinger and others that we entice to be on a committee so that we can do some planning and some communication to our staff. She obviously has the business connections and would communicate with businesses to get them engaged as well. One of the examples that they had talked about is just having us hook the Visitors Bureau tab onto our weekly newsletter so we could highlight some things going on in the community maybe the following week, just to get some of our new staff out and meeting people and getting to know our community and all the great things that we have going on. This is one other example of what we did in August. This came from our spring conversations with this committee, but Angie worked with some local businesses, sponsored an event down at the Chamber building. There was food and drinks that was provided by businesses. There were prizes, there were giveaways. We played a game all about Norfolk to see what they knew or help them learn about our community. And this was our turnout from our new staff. So we got a lot of people there and a lot of staff enjoying it and some great feedback from our new teachers. We had one of our new teachers who is a veteran teacher, not a first-year teacher, but a new teacher at Norfolk Public, and said, I've never been a part of anything like this. This was outstanding. And this was something, just that Angie put together. So I'm excited to see what we can expand on to help our current staff feel a part of our community. Okay, our second objective is on our culture to help with retention. MPS is committed to improving staff morale and retention by providing opportunities for staff to feel valued and have a voice. NPS aims to enhance the overall culture within the organization and create a supportive environment for its employees. And Kari Cronin is going to talk about this objective. Wrong side.
All right. Okay, so we had 3 steps as part of ours. The first step is to emphasize the appreciation of teachers. Norfolk is already doing some awesome things. We have things such as the success pins that teachers can receive, the recognition tonight for Mr. Obermeyer, things like that in place. So we want to continue to build on what's already here. It's essential for our staff to know they are valued, respected, and cared for. To help with this, our team's first step is to continue working to improve staff morale and promote positive building culture. So up there, step 1, it says leverage the district health and wellness committee and individual school building social committees to build on that teacher morale and build that culture. So in the past, the district health and wellness committee has hosted some events that allowed teachers to step away from that daily grind and focus on our mental, physical, and social health. And that was very well responded to. They would team up with Staff Appreciation Day and do that. So we would like to collaborate with them again in hopes to bring back some of those opportunities and maybe potentially see what else we could do with them, because just like everybody, teachers need that work-life balance too, and their committee could be very beneficial in helping us with that. In terms of social committee, we would like to help create some opportunities for collaboration amongst the social committees at each building. Appreciation looks different in every building. You'll hear elementary schools have awesome PTOs throughout our district. That's something that's not available to our middle school, junior high, and high school. And so appreciation looks very different for them. And so social committees are very essential in that piece. So we would like to bring in some representatives from the social committees at each grade level or each building level, and let us collaborate about what they have seen as successful ideas in their building to improve the staff morale and that building culture. Even through this opportunity of being on this committee and planning, I talked with a high school teacher, and I'm at the elementary, and he talked about how they would do family events a couple times a year with their staff, and that's a great way. So now that's something I took back to my team, and we're working on planning a family event to maybe appeal to different crowd or different teachers who are at a different season of life. Another thing we would like to do is ask our administrators to each administer an appreciation survey to determine exactly how do teachers in their building like to receive appreciation. Do they like something more subtle, such as just a pop in during plan time and say, hey, thanks for doing that? Or do they like something that's a little more noticeable and outgoing? So that could be very helpful information, and it could help strengthen that relationship between the staff and the administration as well. The second part of this one is to create a PD task force, including CO administrators, teaching and learning team, building administrators, and teachers. So it's essential that we provide our teachers with high quality and applicable professional development opportunities. As a current teacher, I can tell you I am always looking for ways to improve my effectiveness. The relevancy of professional development is an area that is often lower on our Upbeat survey data. Teachers want the opportunity to provide more input regarding the professional development that is being offered. So as a result, our team would like to put together a PD task force consisting of these different components and people, and we would like them to collect data from staff and work together to plan productive professional development opportunities for our staff. That way they have more voice, and hopefully we'll all feel like we're getting more out of those opportunities.
Also on step 2, one of the pieces of that is making sure that our staff has information on some of the PD that we do that is state required. So there are certain pieces of professional development that we are required to do annually. For example, we have to do a driver's training every year. It's required by NDE. So just making sure that our staff know we're not trying to tell you how to check certain things on a vehicle every single year, but the state requires it. So, you know, they do need to be aware of those things that were mandated, but there are times that we do need their input to make sure that their professional development is relevant. And then the third step is administering a loss of plan time survey. So we did this in April. We were hearing that teachers were feeling burnt out. They were frustrated because they were losing their plan time. So we sent out a survey and asked specifically, are you losing your plan time? Why are you losing your plan time? Are you choosing to lose your plan time? An example of that is we had some staff saying, I'm attending meetings during my plan time. But then we had some staff that on the next question said, I choose to hold those meetings during my plan time so I don't have to stay later after school. Where other people were saying, I have meetings during my plan time and I need my plan time. I'd rather have those meetings after school. So that's an example of some of the information we're trying to decipher when we hear that staff are losing their plan time. So we want to just continue that so we can gauge, are we making progress? Are we sure that those that are attending meetings or whatever else, was on that survey is by their choice, or are some being asked not to have their plan time? One example is substitute teaching during their plan time. We have staff that will give up their plan time to cover a classroom. Now, they do receive some compensation for that, but oftentimes it's the same people. And is that by choice? Sometimes, but sometimes there might only be 3 or 4 teachers that have plan time at that time because it's also over teachers' lunches or other things. So they might get asked more to give up their plan time. So we just want to make sure we keep a pulse on that and are aware of what our teachers are going through. And it's important for us to know, is that by choice, or is that more, teachers know that they have to step up to make the building run. So some do that because they know they need to, but we also need to make sure we're aware of where everyone's at with that. This objective, the dollar amount on there is just a complete guess because it could be $0. The Health and Wellness Committee receives money through our EHA depending upon how many people participate in that program, which is the Educators Health Alliance. We get some money for that. School social committees are all funded by teachers, pay to be a member of the social committee, so that's not school dollars. A lost time survey or a PD survey, a PD task force won't cost any money. But if coming out of that is specific professional development that our teachers are really desiring, that's where a cost could come into play. And it's just hard to predict without knowing what comes out of that task force, what type of PD they may want. We have fantastic instructional coaches within our own district that do a lot of our professional development, so that wouldn't come at an additional cost to us. But if we need to bring somebody in, that may be where we see an amount. So that $10,000 was just for an awareness that potentially there could be some money required for that. Okay, and then our third objective was recruitment. And Sarah Scheer is going to talk about objective 3.
Hello. So our objective 3 is recruitment. So we're continuously exploring new opportunities to expand recruitment efforts, attracting more talented individuals to join the district's teaching workforce. So like we talked about earlier, we want to do the best that we can to retain the talented staff that we have, but also we want to continue to explore opportunities to expand those recruitment efforts so that we can attract even more talented individuals to our district. Okay, so the first step with this objective is student teachers. So one opportunity to recruit is to work on ways to get more student teachers in the district and attract the student teachers that we already have to potentially join our district. In order to do this, we need to collect information about the possible barriers that exist to gaining more student teachers, such as distance to a college or university. So currently, some student teachers have to pay an extra fee to be a student teacher at Norfolk Public Schools, depending on what institution they are at. Normally, universities have some sort of mileage radius, that in that radius, they'll provide a supervisor, but outside of that radius, potential candidate would have to provide their own supervisor, and this can become a barrier. And especially also where we're situated at, we are outside of that radius for a lot of those universities. And so, like Lisa talked about earlier, if there was someone who would want to come back who is an alumni, potentially that might be a barrier that they're not able to cross for student teaching. So after we get that information, we would want to problem solve some ways to get those extra student teaching costs covered. So some problem solving with helping them find those supervisors or potentially covering those costs. So then after we look at those potential ways to get more student teachers, we do already have great student teachers here. So we'd want to organize and implement a day when our current student teachers could tour the other buildings in their districts besides their placement schools. Often the student teachers will be at their placement schools, but they won't be able to see the other schools that we have in this district. So this way they could get a feel for the other schools and the other possibilities, so they may want to apply to those. And then I'm going to let Angie talk about the LinkedIn, but I'm going to skip to the step 3 really quick. So also we'd want to continue to do this. So we already attend panel discussions in colleges and student group meetings, but we also would want to potentially have teachers join in on these discussions to give prospective teachers a chance to talk to teachers who are already currently in the profession. So they would have a little bit more people to talk to there. Thank you.
Okay, and the LinkedIn piece on there. So I have been working with Tiffany Settles, and we have worked with LinkedIn. We have started a pilot with them with money that I already have in my budget for that. But what LinkedIn will do for us, and we're hoping that we see, is some turnaround on our investment to have more applicants, have our jobs viewed more, have our district put out there more on LinkedIn, and I was able to gather some data. We started our pilot October 22nd, and the slide here shows that from October 22nd to November 6th, there were 9 applications that we received that indicated they learned about their positions from LinkedIn, and it also shows that there were 767 views on our jobs. So there's some great insights on LinkedIn that we'll be able to see if we're actually seeing benefits from being part of this. And there's multiple pieces to LinkedIn. So there's a recruiter piece that through this system and through our school page, they will, LinkedIn targets qualified candidates for us and then filters them to me. So I get an email saying, we've found 74 people that meet the criteria for this specific job you have posted. And then I can directly reach out to those people. I have 150 in-mails that I can use a month to reach out to people that are part of the package per se. And so I have an opportunity to specifically reach out to people that qualify for the jobs we're posted. On LinkedIn, anyone that's on there can put if they're currently seeking a job, or they can just be on there as a professional, so I can sort through that as well. There's a career page that promotes our school and our brand. I would say it's almost similar to the front page of our website a little bit. So we have videos posted on there. Tiffany does a great job of when she posts things on Facebook or on Twitter, they now go onto LinkedIn as well. So all of our information is getting out there. And then there's a job wrapping piece of it where it pulls directly from the software we use called applicant tracking, where we post our jobs, pulls all those jobs directly onto our LinkedIn page, and then I get to prioritize 15 of those jobs that I want them to send me matches on. So I pick our 15 most essentials that we need to get filled, and then I get emails from LinkedIn with matches of people that are on there. And it is becoming much more popular. For example, my son who's in college, he is required to have a LinkedIn profile. That is something that the younger professionals are starting to go toward in order to start their professional presence and network with peers. So of our current jobs, we have 25 jobs currently on LinkedIn. That's the most we can have. So if we only have 17 openings, we're only going to see 17 on there, but we can have 25. We have everywhere between 35 and 250 views on LinkedIn for just one job. So that's been encouraging that we're getting some awareness of our openings, and I'll be tracking how many people are applying. They have a drop down on our application where they will select, where did you hear about the job? In the newspaper, I've added LinkedIn in there. I mean, there's a variety of things they can select. So I'll be tracking what that looks like moving forward to see how many are viewing it there as well. And the cost that comes with that, I'm gonna skip ahead. Oh no, that's back here. The cost that comes with that, so the pilot is $12,705. And I know that seems like a lot of money, but our advertising that we pay right now for the Omaha World Herald every Sunday for a 5x5 ad, we pay $1,230. So every Sunday we pay that. And we advertise, I could get you specifics, but I would say probably 40 weeks out of the year, because we advertise from January until the last 2 years. It's been until school starts in August because we've had unfilled positions. We usually take a couple months off, and like this year we started again in October because we had positions we needed to fill at semester plus director positions we need to fill. So about 10 months out of the year we are advertising, and my hope is that we see great results on LinkedIn, and I think we still need to utilize Omaha World Herald at some level, but if we could do that maybe once a month instead of every weekend, and we might hit different audiences, because I think a different audience is looking at the Omaha World Herald than maybe is looking at LinkedIn. And Omaha World Herald and the Norfolk Daily News have some things that they connect us to job boards. So our jobs are on things like Indeed and some of those things that it's part of their package to put them on there. But I never know if anyone sees it. I get no data back. I have no information as to whether it's being viewed or if we're having any gains there. So I will be paying close attention and tracking this to see if we can help eliminate some costs in another area. Okay, and then I have just a couple pictures here. Mr. Hughes attended a employer symposium at Wayne State College for me when I was unavailable last week, and spoke to students about our district, spoke to them about interviewing tips, job preparation, and answered questions of students. And he had a blast and did a great job for us. And then Mary Laura and I seem to find ourselves together at a lot of job fairs, and we are certainly recruiting and looking ahead. Most job fairs, we talk to a lot of seniors, but we also talk to freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, and try and get them thinking about us already. So in their younger years, they can be thinking about where they want a student teach and where they want to end up. All right, so those are our 3 objectives for our goal. Are there any questions for me or for this lovely committee?
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Is the number of potential student teachers or people that are wanting to go into teaching, have you found that, are their numbers going down just overall in general, that people aren't choosing teaching as a profession? Is that part of the problem?
You know, that's what we've heard from some of the colleges, that they have fewer students enrolled in their education programs. When I was at Wayne State College, maybe the beginning of October for a student teacher fair, freshmen through seniors, they had over 400 students attend the fair, which I thought was outstanding. The place was packed, so that was really encouraging to have our local college have that many. But we are hearing that. Mary Laura and I attended the Educator Shortage Summit in Kearney a couple weeks ago, and that's what we're hearing from the colleges that were there and represented as well, is that their numbers are down. So that was part of the conversation with them, is how they can try and get more students involved in the education programs.
My second question is about reciprocation. Do we have reciprocation with our surrounding states, and are we attracting any teachers from other states, or how is that working?
I can't give you exact numbers, but yes, we do get some teachers from other states, but they are having to go through the process of getting certified. Nebraska doesn't have a lot of reciprocity with a lot of states, but some states are more difficult to come from than others. I know we had someone come from a state that had been teaching the exact subject that we hired them for, and it was a lot of hoops to get them endorsed in Nebraska. So the certification office was present at that shortage summit as well. So we have definitely voiced any concerns, and they have responded. Part of what came out of that shortage summit, the first one, we were at the second one, but the first time was removing of that initial praxis test. So I do believe they are listening. We just need to keep attending and keep talking.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just have one quick question. I think your LinkedIn is a good idea to capture the younger generation. So is it basically just a lead generator for you?
Yes, and then it allows me to connect directly with them. So yep, we get our name out there. They can get to our website, they can contact me, and it's just really impressive the way it pairs up. So if I put in, I need a special education behavior teacher, it's linking me to people that have listed those qualifications on their own page, and then I'm able to reach out directly to those people. It will be interesting to see because it's all over the place. It's not just our local, teachers and local college students. So, I've reached out to some people plenty far away from here, but we've also hired people from states that are quite a ways away. So, we're reaching as far as we can to try and find candidates.
Are they,
Like our school psych is in Kearney located because we have a virtual school psych. And they, from what I understand, because she has a LinkedIn account, we have an opening for that, so it must have sent her a notification. So if people have a LinkedIn account, it sends them a notification of like, hey, this has come open as an opening. So I think it brings awareness to people that actually have an account also that there are these types of openings going on.
yeah, I think the cookies are finding each other is what they're
Yeah.
doing. Are they giving you star ratings on them as far as their level of interest, if they're just searching or if they're actively really candidates for you?
Yeah, so there are different levels. So there are people that are just in there that have those qualifications, but then there's people in there with those qualifications that say currently seeking a job. And so you can distinguish between them, but in my mind, there might be somebody that doesn't know they're looking until they hear what might be available. So I'm trying to reach out to any that I can that meet qualifications.
I think it's great. I think you recognize the leads that are good, and those are the ones you chase.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't have any questions, but I just want to say thanks to the team for all your hard work. There are a lot of great ideas there, and I especially love the part about bringing in community partners to foster that community engagement, because I think that's huge with keeping people here in town.
Thank you.
That reminded me, I had a question about, let me just see if I can find it. I was wondering if you were doing your retention and your involvement with families and teachers and staff. Are you doing that building to building and then trying to bring it together, or where are we starting? Is everything just thrown in, or are we doing little pods and building?
Right, so after tonight and a hopeful approval of the goal, we'll need to get some people together. So every building has a social committee, but I don't know who leads all of those social committees. So that'll be a starting point, gathering who are these people, let's get them together. And I think it will just start with brainstorming. What's each building doing? What's working? Where do you need help? How can we help each other? And then try and put together some of the bigger picture things. But I think we're gonna have to start at the bottom and work our way to bigger things.
I do too. Thank you for all your hard work.
Yeah. Thanks, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have the special presentation, Annie's Story.
Tonight's final special presentation is a short video that highlights one of our amazing students at the middle school named Annie and two of her outstanding teachers, Mr. Ginn and Mr. Dreyer. This is a true story that highlights what we do on a daily basis for our students, how important our community support and donations are to our students, and what it means to us when we say that we strive to be outstanding. So all of the equipment shown in this video was donated by the Connie Day Fund and the Rudy Ellis Fund, which are affiliated funds of the Nebraska Community Foundation, in order to help develop science, technology, engineering, and math skills in our students. But as you just saw, the benefits of those donations have been far, far bigger than we ever could have imagined. And that's thanks to the determination and the commitment of our outstanding teachers.
We are now to public comments and communication. This is a time during the meeting when the public may request to address the board. According to state law, if you wish to comment, you must identify yourself, including your address, the name of your organization you represent, and the topic you wish to address. Public comment cards are located at the media table in the back of the room. Please pick up a card and provide the required information if you plan to speak. Each individual's comments will be limited to 5 minutes. Please note that the board cannot discuss or act upon any matters that are not listed on the agenda. Therefore, board members will not respond to your comments or questions. If you wish to request that an item be placed on a future board agenda, you may contact the superintendent or her assistant during normal business hours. Also note that concerns related to school personnel need to be addressed to the superintendent using the approved district protocol. Individuals who make false, defamatory, or slanderous statements during public comments may be held legally liable. Slanderous comments are not protected just because they are made at board meetings. Does anybody wish to comment?
Good evening. My name is Angie Bailey, and I live in Norfolk. I'd like to speak about a couple of topics tonight. First, the connection between poetry writing for high school students and academic success. Various research studies have concluded with these results. 1, improved writing skills. Engaging in the creative process of writing poetry can enhance students' writing skills. Crafting poems involves careful consideration of language, structure, and style, which can translate to improved academic writing. 2, critical thinking and analysis. Writing poetry requires students to think critically about language and meaning. This analytical skill can extend to our academic subjects, aiding in tasks such as analytical or analyzing literature or solving problems in mathematics. Number 3, creativity and innovation. The process of creating poetry fosters creativity and innovation. These qualities are valuable not only in artistic pursuits, but also in problem solving and approaching academic challenges with a fresh perspective. 4, self-expression and confidence. Writing poetry provides an avenue for self-expression. When students are encouraged to express their thoughts and emotions through poetry, it can contribute to improved communication skills and increased confidence, both of which are beneficial for academic success. 5, emotional well-being. The act of writing poetry can be therapeutic. It allows students to explore and process their emotions, contributing to emotional well-being. Students who have better emotional well-being often perform better academically. And 6, individualized learning. Poetry writing allows for individualized expression and learning. Students can explore topics of personal interest, tailoring their creative efforts to align with their academic passions. All right, my second topic. I just want to come up here again and express my support for Dr. Thompson's district leadership. One thing I want to note, so Dr. Thompson, you have been here 10 years, and in the 10 years that Dr. Thompson's been here, NPS has had 3 schools awarded the National Blue Ribbon Award, which recognizes, it's a U.S. Department of Education recognition of a school being exemplary and high performing. So those 3 schools are Washington Elementary in 2015, Lincoln Montessori Elementary in 2019, Westside Elementary in 2022, and overall, Our school district has only had 5 blue ribbon schools ever, and the other 2 are Jefferson Elementary in 2005 and the senior high in 1985. So again, thank you, Dr. Thompson. You've been here for 10 years. 3 of those 5 have come throughout your leadership. So thank you for your excellent leadership, and that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mickey Mueller, and I live here in Norfolk. I am here tonight to talk about Dr. Jamie Jo Thompson. In 2020, Dr. Thompson received the Nebraska Excellence in Career Education Outstanding Administrator Award. I would like to share the requirements of this award and Dr. Thompson's nomination. The Outstanding NCE Administrative Leader Award is presented to a Nebraska school administrator who has demonstrated visionary leadership in fostering innovation and growth of Nebraska career education on a local or regional basis. The award honors an administrator who has consistently demonstrated a personal commitment and outstanding support for career and technical education that enhances opportunities for students and prepares them with the technical skills and knowledge, as well as the career readiness skills leading to career success. The recipient of this award must have demonstrated a commitment to the mission and goals of Nebraska career education, collaboration and involvement with groups, agencies, businesses, and/or educational organizations to expand opportunities for quality career education, active engagement in efforts to enhance understanding of the benefits of quality career education, support for the efforts of career technical educators to enhance and grow their programs of study, and a sustained participation in area, regional, statewide activities whose purpose is to support, improve, and expand Nebraska career education. This was Dr. Thompson's nomination. She's the superintendent of Norfolk Public Schools from 2013 to the present. This was her first job as a superintendent. She led a community-driven process to establish a strategic action plan goal in 2014 to expand career awareness activities and provide course offerings in all 6 career cluster areas. She was a member of the NPS revision team in 2014. She worked closely with the Norfolk Public Schools Foundation to spearhead a $1.37 million campaign for Career Academy addition and renovation to Norfolk Senior High CTE learning spaces. She actively participated in a community awareness and relationship building campaign effort to inform Norfolk area businesses and community members of the needs of Norfolk Public Schools and area employers and how we could partner together to build a strong, skilled, successful workforce to fulfill the needs of both groups. She partnered closely with the Norfolk Area Chamber of Commerce, making a District 3-year commitment to support the creation of a new position of Workforce Development Coordinator. She collaborated with Northeast Community College to increase partnerships with NPS, which include expanding dual credit offerings, Fridays at Northeast Partner, which is an opportunity for high school students to experience college learning labs on the Northeast Community College campus. And she ensured that Northeast leadership were on the Career Academy advisory teams and the Career Academy steering committee. She oversaw the implementation of career academies at NPS. In the fall of 2016, we added agriculture, construction, drafting, and health sciences. In the fall of 2017, we added automotive, metals, culinary arts, early childhood, business administration, finance, information technology, and marketing. In the fall of 2019, the Teaching Career Academy in partnership with Wayne State College was created through the STEP, Students to Teachers Through Educator Pathways program that provides a career academy experience and dual credit learning for students seeking future career as a teacher. She supported the development of several new career student organizations and the revitalization of existing ones. She supported the creation of a youth registered apprenticeship program established through a partnership with Continental and the U.S. Department of Labor. She supported the implementation of 21st Century Learning Centers, which is our aftershock, after-school program, to expand learning and enrichment opportunities, including career exploration for grades 5 through 8. She's been a member of the Norfolk Chamber of Commerce, a board member of Greater Norfolk Economic Development Foundation, member of the Norfolk Action Council, member of the Madison County Economic Development Workforce Task Force, a member of the City of Norfolk Comprehensive Planning Steering Committee, and a member of the Norfolk Career Academy Steering Committee. Dr. Thompson received this award in 2020. That same year, she was honored as Norfolk Person of the Year. In my 23 years as an employee of NPS, I have worked with 3 superintendents. Each person had his or her own strengths, but I can say unequivocally that Dr. Thompson has put students first in every decision she has made in the district. Her visionary leadership and unwavering commitment to continuous improvement has pushed the district forward. She truly believes that nothing prevents success. If you haven't seen all of the outstanding things that Dr. Thompson has done for NPS, it's because you aren't looking. I encourage the board to talk to people who have worked side by side with her over the course of her tenure. We are an outstanding district because of Dr. Thompson's leadership. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Katie Wright Oswald. I reside at 507 David Circle here in Norfolk, Nebraska. I have been a teacher and a volleyball coach for the past 12 years, and the last 6 years I have been teaching our 5th grade students at Norfolk Middle School. I am speaking to you tonight to express my gratitude for the support our district and especially my building has given to help our ELL students. When I saw they were going to be spotlighted tonight, I felt this was the most appropriate time to honor them. You just had the pleasure of listening to one of our outstanding ELL teachers, Mrs. Naranjo, and I want you to know the work that these people do is just absolutely incredible. For the past 6 years, I have taught math at the middle school, and because of my previous teaching experiences, that means I get to teach a lot of our ELL students math. For some of these students, this is their first year entering into the Norfolk district. And because of our outstanding ELL teachers, I have decided to pursue my own ELL certificate. I want to mention that in my first 4 years, I had a total of 13 EL students, which was about 3 per year. The past 2 years have been different. Last year, I had 11 English language learners in my classroom, and this year I had 13. And my numbers, while they might be high, it's just something you'll see throughout the state of Nebraska and even our district. I share this with you because the support that I have received is just outstanding. I am very fortunate to have a principal who is in my corner, who is willing to help me meet the needs of these students. Just this past week, I received word that we would have additional iPads, which I'm very grateful for. It means I have to do less personal translating. And that allows students not only to have access to the language, but also to the content and materials that we are covering in our core subjects. In fact, I have witnessed a Spanish-speaking student communicate with a Ukrainian-speaking student just to check in and see how they're doing. This year, during multi-digit multiplication, I had a student explain to a Russian student why we carry the 1, why we regroup when we multiply, and I don't speak Russian, and so those resources have really helped me. I have experienced what these students have experienced. I myself had traveled to other countries to learn other languages, and I didn't have the technology that they have today. It's just absolutely outstanding what it can do. So I'm here to say thank you. Thank you for realizing our great need and for supporting us. Thank you for getting additional iPads for our school. For the middle school, we now have a full-time ELL teacher, and also for the hiring of additional ELL paraprofessionals. I advocate for these students, I battle for these students, but I wouldn't be able to do that if it weren't for everybody here. So I just really want to say thank you, and then of course put in a selfless plug to encourage people to apply to be at the middle school. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak? We'll move on to information and discussion items. First one, Finance and Facilities Report. Dr. Thompson.
I always forget this is my report right now. The total amount of claims to be approved on the consent agenda for the month of November 2023 by specific fund are listed below. General Fund, $729,544.77. Nutrition Services Fund, $746,844.62. Cooperative Fund, $3,420.54. Depreciation Fund, $444,600. Special Building Fund, $36,404.75. QC Puff, $719,200. Student Fee Fund, $5,904.29. The total amount of claims for the month of October 2023 in the Activities Fund is $131,851.53. All of these claims were reviewed earlier today by the Finance and Facility Committee.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. Teaching and Learning Report, Beth Nelson.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. The month of October proved to be eventful, marked by the ending of our first quarter parent-teacher conferences and professional development activities. It was a central office partnership that intentionally designed a diverse array of professional learning experiences for our educators. I want to emphasize one initiative that merits recognition, and it's the collaborative meetings that we held with junior and senior high teachers to discuss curriculum scope and sequence. This contributes to the ensuring of rigor and the progression of educational content. The teaching and learning team have been diligently focusing on the development of social studies curriculum alongside an effort to engage with and support new teachers within the district. Additionally, we have participated in conducting instructional rounds with building administrators. These rounds offer a swift and efficient means to enhance our ability to provide constructive feedback to our teachers and engage in peer discussions about our classroom observations. It's important to note that our primary goal of the instructional rounds is not to evaluate the teacher performance, but to refine our skills in identifying individual indicators of quality instruction. In collaboration with building principals, I have reviewed the official 2023 spring data and its implications for the state accountability system in evaluating our progress. This data-driven review empowers our principals to chart a course for goal setting and planning with their staff, thus facilitating improvements in areas where they believe growth is needed. Lastly, I have had the privilege of working closely with our preschool teachers, focusing on the development of professional learning community skills and fostering a culture of collaborative work. My engagement with them will continue with follow-up sessions scheduled for early in the upcoming year.
Thank you. Student Programs Report.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Our October 1st count for the 2023 shows an increase in the number of students in ELL and special education. The increase for ELL went from 5% to 6%, an increase of 46 students this school year. The special education count increased 20 students, but the overall percentage is still at 18% for the total student population, meaning preschool through 21. School-age population is at 16%, which matches the state typical, or the state average. CPR will be required for all coaches starting the fall of the 24-25 school year. Our nurses and some teachers will be trained as trainers of CPR in the second semester to assist in the certification of the coaches. Are there any questions?
This is the highest number of ELL you've had then?
In my time here, yes.
Any students then? You said an increase of 46, but that brings a total to?
Our total ELL count right now, or on October 1st, was 278.
That's a lot.
I have a question, and it says CPR will be required for all coaches. Is that coming down from the state legislature then, this requirement?
Yes, the Nebraska School Association.
From the Nebraska School Association, NSAA?
NSAA, thank you.
And
Couldn't
yeah,
hold
it's
for a
not
second.
from the legislator, it's
Okay.
from the Nebraska School Activities
Okay, that was my
Association.
question, thank you.
But we are required to follow that.
Okay, that was my question, thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Student Services and Safety Report, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Vice President.
On October 19th and 20th, members of our district safety team and I attended the annual Safety Summit and the Great Plains Association of Threat Assessment Professionals Conference, which was located in Lincoln. The conference focused on the importance of relationship building and looking at the whole picture when completing a threat assessment. This is important training to help our team to be as effective as possible when dealing with safety concerns. Finally, we completed our fall parent-teacher conferences near the end of October. Attendance numbers are posted below. As a district, for the fall of 2020 conferences, we were at 65.7% attendance. Fall of 2021, we were at 70.08%. Fall of 2022, 72.66%. And this fall, we were at 73.47%, so slightly increasing across the way there. As always, it's great to see parents at those conferences. If you were not able to attend conferences for your students, I encourage you to reach out to your student's school. They'd be happy to discuss your student's educational plan and progress with you. Any questions?
Great to see some schools with 100%.
And even most of our elementary schools will continue to work with those to try to get to 100% yet. That's our numbers as of now.
Human Resource and Accreditation, Angie Bauman.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Since the last board meeting, I have attended the Wayne State College Student Teacher Fair. As I mentioned earlier, there were almost 400 students, freshmen through seniors, in attendance. Mary Laura and I attended the two-day Nebraska Educator Shortage Summit in Kearney, which I also mentioned earlier. We met with a variety of stakeholders from all over the state, including school administrators, college staff, ESU staff, NDE staff, and teachers. This group will continue to work with data and decision-making to reduce the educator shortage. I also was on campus at Wayne State College to speak to the NENTA teachers, which are college students that have a local sub-permit and are allowed to substitute teach while taking classes. In addition, Wayne State College and Growing Together hosted an employer symposium. That is the symposium that I was unable to attend, so Mr. Hughes, middle school principal, attended in my place. This symposium was designed to provide students with information and experiences on navigating from college to a career. I'm continuing to work to gain the interest of potential teachers to apply at MPS for teaching positions. October 23rd was a district-wide professional development day. Staff were provided with professional development that was geared more specifically to their level, area, and needs. This day included professional development on MTSS, PBIS, vertical PLCs, program deep dives, digital learning, and more. Our leadership team has received positive feedback on the effectiveness of the day. Are there any questions?
Do we have a lot of the college students who substitute teach in our district? Is this a new program or has it been around for a while?
Been around for quite a while. We probably have, I would say maybe 8 right now that are coming to our district, but we're always trying to pull more. They can substitute for us on days they don't have class. So it only works for those students that either have class Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday. But the college does try to intentionally align their schedules if they want to be part of the program. So all of the local communities, all of the schools try to access, we all fight over the same people. So, we try to get as many here, or those that live here and commute for classes, we get to come into our district. So hoping for more.
A great way to help our sub problem and more people in our district as well.
Yeah, great opportunity for exposure, yeah.
Still have do you have a sub shortage that you did have 2-3 years ago, or is that getting better with each year?
You know, it depends. It depends on our absences. So we have over, I gave numbers recently. I think we have like 75 substitute teachers in our district. That number might be off a little, but not all of those teachers sub every day. Not all of those teachers will sub preschool through senior high. Some might be a retired staff member that only wants to sub in the building they worked at. So we don't have that many working every day, but we do have that many that are signed up and helping us at some level. So it also depends on if we have activities that have a lot of staff out, or illness obviously plays a role if we have staff out. So the substitutes that we do have do a great job, and some of them work for us every day.
Does that include paras when you talk about your 75? Does that include substitutes for paras too?
No, that's just certified staff. We have quite a few more certified subs than we do our classified subs.
And I have some information about fill rates in my report, so.
Move on to superintendent's report. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. I only have 2 topics tonight, but I apologize because they both are fairly lengthy. I'm going to start with the listening session summary. I held 3 listening sessions for staff in October. These are opportunities for staff members to visit with me informally about their ideas, concerns, and questions. Overall, staff indicated that first quarter went really well. They said that they appreciate the Be Outstanding t-shirts. They have helped build a sense of camaraderie amongst staff and spurred questions from students that result in conversations about what it means to be outstanding. Staff are concerned about our lack of substitutes. We are trying to recruit more subs and have received a waiver from NDE allowing us to exceed the 90-day limit for local subs, but this is definitely a challenge. It is particularly hard for us to find classified subs and long-term teacher subs. Mrs. Bauman tracks our substitute data carefully and is always open to ideas and suggestions. Our fill rate for certified staff is pretty consistent with last year. Last September, our fill rate was 86%. This year it is 86%. Last year it was 88%. But our classified rate has dropped from 70% to 55%. So that is definitely an area of challenge for us. Staff also expressed concerns regarding the growing number of non-English speaking students in our classrooms. Our total number of ELL students has increased by 46 students, and we also have a higher percentage of newcomers, those students who have little to no English proficiency. Mrs. Luer continues to monitor teacher and interpreter caseloads. She is also looking at providing training for regular education teachers to help them feel more comfortable with ELL students in their classrooms. And as you heard earlier, she is allocating more iPads for students who need access to an online interpretive service throughout the day. Staff members asked why we decided to add an additional board member to the negotiations committee. I indicated that this is the only board committee that only has 2 members, and we felt that more representation would be better on such an important committee with such strong financial implications. Staff asked if we were expecting a lot of retirements this year, and I honestly could not answer that question, but of course I did encourage staff that are planning to retire to let us know as soon as possible so that we can hire a strong replacement. Staff expressed concern over the length of time it takes for a teacher to add an endorsement to their certificate. I am part of a group of superintendents that has been working with NDE and the new Commissioner of Education to address this and many other certification issues. I anticipate that we will see some changes in the near future that will expedite that process. Staff also mentioned that they used to visit local businesses during professional development days to learn more about the job skills that students need to acquire. I indicated that our CTE teachers and counselors had this opportunity recently and that we could look at expanding this. I also encouraged them to reach out to Mrs. Bauman and her professional development committee with ideas and suggestions as we're trying to take a more strategic or individualized approach to our professional development planning. Staff asked if they can share things about NPS and respond to inaccurate information about NPS on social media. I indicated that yes, of course we want our staff to post positive things about our schools, and they can respond to inaccurate information. However, I encourage them to stay positive and professional. Staff suggested we bring back our spring wellness date. I told them that I would forward that idea to Bruce Strong and our wellness committee, and I told them that Mr. Strong is looking for more staff to join his committee. I was ruthless in plugging our committees. The high school staff indicated that their change in administration at the high school has gone very smoothly, and the middle school staff expressed their appreciation for the board approving the middle school project. I clarified that we are just seeking bids at this point, and we had to cross our fingers that we are within our budget. They expressed how important the safe and secure entrance is to them, and they asked questions about where certain classrooms would be. I was not able to answer specific questions about the plans, as they are currently being revised to include a storm shelter, which is a code requirement. I really enjoyed meeting with staff, and I appreciated the staff who emailed me with questions if they were unable to attend. I believe it is important for us to have open communication. Superintendent's reports and weekly newsletters are valuable tools for communication, but they aren't the same as a face-to-face conversation. We have some awesome staff, and I really want to know their questions, concerns, ideas, and suggestions. I will plan to do some more listening sessions second semester. And then, Mr. Wilson, if you would put up the strategic facility planning. I am going to very briefly touch on our strategic facility planning from 2008 until today, because I get a lot of questions about this topic. The strategic facilities plan started in 2018, identified 3 common themes across the district. They were safety and security, program and classroom space, and HVAC and mechanical needs. Those themes are still prevalent today. Looking at each level, starting with the elementary level, we needed to enhance the safety and security of the entrances at Grant and Lincoln, as they did not meet today's safety standards. Grant also had some ADA issues in regards to the elevator, or should I say lack of elevator, and their restrooms. Those things have all been completed. The extra track of students at Bel Air was causing a major space issue. They had a real need for a larger, separate multi-purpose room so they could run PE and lunch at the same time. They also needed additional classroom space as they were holding speech and reading classes in what I will call closet-like spaces, because we wouldn't say we had students in closets. And a multitude of small groups were meeting in the hallway. That has now been completed. We also had a variety of HVAC issues at the elementary level, particularly at Jefferson, Bel Air, Washington, and Westside, and those have been completed. And overall, we had a need for space to address future enrollment growth, which had been addressed via additional tracks at Bel Air and Lincoln Montessori. The reason there is a question mark by this item is that our elementary enrollment has shifted as our community has grown, causing some of our buildings to have larger class sizes than others. We need to consider doing an independent study regarding our boundary changes once we have our official 2023 enrollment numbers available, as shifting those may be important to having consistency in class sizes across the district. At the middle school, we identified a need for a new entrance at the main office. There are some definite and obvious concerns with the arrangement of the middle school, and we also have an overall lack of space due to growing enrollment in the building. We are in the process of finalizing architectural plans and bid documents with the hope of bidding this project this winter or spring. At the junior high, we had safety and ADA issues with their locker rooms, which were not up to code and were very difficult to supervise. They also had some space issues, which were addressed very economically via the relocation and repurposing of existing spaces. And we had to upgrade the large boiler system, which was very costly. We did have to upgrade that large boiler system. Okay, so all of those have been taken well. That leads to the senior high. Door 16 at the high school posed a security issue, which has been addressed via an additional door buzzer and security technician that is staffed throughout the day. We also have space issues, particularly with a commons area that was originally built to house grades 10 through 12, and an orchestra room that cannot hold our entire orchestra, meaning that the only time that they can actually practice together is when they utilize the Johnny Carson Theater. However, addressing either of those issues would result in a need for additional classrooms because they would take space away from them. We also needed to complete an upgrade to the chiller system at the senior high. This has a question mark by it as well because it was completed, but has never worked properly, and we are in the midst of a lawsuit regarding that. That will be readdressed soon, with bids hopefully being approved tonight. We currently do not have funding available to address the space issues at the senior high. We would need to really evaluate those needs and determine how to move forward. So, we are at the very beginning stages of starting a new strategic facility. As new maintenance always arises in the course of the years. A document similar to what you see in was sent to all building principals as well as maintenance supervisor for completion. Completed, Mr. Wilson and I will meet with each principal to tour their building and learn more about their wants, needs, and wishes. We will synthesize that information into a draft report, which we will take to building staff for feedback and input. Then we will complete all that information into a comprehensive report along with cost estimates for the board to consider. At this point, all non-essential facility projects other than the middle school project will be put on hold until this study and this report have been completed, because we really need to prioritize our needs and our funding. And we need to get our new business manager onboarded before we make any of these really large financial decisions. Are there any questions?
Any questions? Okay.
I just have a couple questions related to the listening sessions. What is the 90-day limit for subs?
I'm gonna let Angie address that. I can, but she'll do a better job.
So our state certified subs do not have a limit. So those are substitutes that actually have a teaching certificate. They can sub every day of the year. Those on a local sub certificate are limited to 90 days per the Nebraska Department of Education. So those are people that have 60 credit hours of college, have taken an HR course, and then followed the other guidelines of fingerprinting and stuff. They're able to sub, but not at the number of days as those that are state certified. So that's per NDE.
Okay, and is that 90 days at a time or 90 days a school year?
It is 90 days throughout the school year, so however they choose to utilize those. That has been waived since the pandemic started. Each year it has been waived. So we just kind of wait to hear from the commissioner on that.
Okay, thank you. What's the fill rate that you were talking about?
So our fill rate for open positions within the district, so for certified staff, in September of 22, that was 88%, and this September it was 86%. For classified staff, in September of 22 it was 70%, and then this September it was only 55%. So we're struggling in that area.
Okay, and then just one more question. Can you explain a little bit about the endorsement to the certificate? What kind of endorsements are those that you're talking about?
So it could be any kind of endorsement. So maybe
Do you want me to give an example?
an elementary teacher may want to go back and get a special ed endorsement or an ELL endorsement. If you already have your teaching certificate, that typically takes about 36 more hours. Whereas if you are a brand new person or you have a bachelor's degree in another area, there are colleges and NDE programs that will help you do that much more quickly. So it doesn't seem, I don't know, reasonable that they can do it more quickly than those who actually have a teaching degree in place.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on to committee reports. First one, Finance and Facilities today. Today, the committee met at noon. Board members present were Brenda Carhart and Terry Bauer. Sandy Wolf was absent from that committee meeting also. Others included were Dr. Jamie Jo Thompson, Eric Wilson, and Angie Bauman. The claims for the month of November and activity claims for October were reviewed. Vendors provided information to the Committee for Insurance Services. A recommendation for insurance services will be brought to the board in December. Other items that were reviewed and discussed were updates on the current district facility projects, CD renewals and rates, and the facility planning process that Dr. Thompson just shared with you. And our next meeting will be December 11th at 4 p.m. Any questions? Okay. Next one is Activities Committee report. The Activities Committee met electronically. We did not have a meeting. We just wanted to discuss get our vote, I guess, to discuss the continuation of our cooperative agreement for softball with Norfolk Catholic and Lutheran High. This was due sooner than we were going to meet, so we voted. The committee voted in favor of continuing this cooperative arrangement and is recommending that the board approve the extension of this written agreement, tonight for softball. The foundation reports, the Norfolk Public Schools Foundation Board of Directors met on October 16th at the administration building. 12 board members were present. The foundation is preparing for the Traditions Breakfast, which we did have on October 26th, the Lifelong Learning Center. We watched the video that you saw tonight of Annie's story, so it was a good breakfast. This is the main fundraiser for the year, where we plan to celebrate the tradition of academic excellence at Norfolk Public Schools. All funds raised by this event will benefit the Norfolk Public Schools Foundation, which in turn help support students and teachers in our district. And the board meets again on November 20th. And our consent agenda, we need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I will second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Beth and a second by Cindy. Is there any other? Please vote.
Motion carried 4-0.
Okay, the minutes of the previous meeting on October 9th, 2023 and October 26th, 2023 are attached for your review. 8.2, personnel. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. We do not have any contracts for approval tonight, but we do have one resignation. Jackie Ruziska, industrial tech teacher at the junior high, is resigning effective at the end of the 23-24 school year. That was planned. She is actually a retired art teacher who came back to help us out, so she's turning in her resignation so we can advertise for next year and hopefully catch one of the few graduates that are coming out in that area.
Attached are the claims for the month of November 2023. These claims were reviewed earlier by our Finance and Facility Committee. There are 2 conflict statements this month that will need to be read before voting. Do we vote now?
No, read your conflict statement first.
Okay. There are 2 conflict statements. Beth, you want to read yours first, then I'll read.
Out of an abundance of caution, I hereby declare a potential conflict of interest and am abstaining from voting on claim number 710 for the month of November in the consent agenda for this meeting. I have signed and filed this written disclosure with the Secretary of the Board. It is my intent to vote on all other remaining items listed on the consent agenda. My vote on the remainder of the consent items should not be taken as a vote one way or the other on the items which I have identified or any of the matters set forth therein or related thereto. And that claim is related to my attendance at the state education conference this week.
Out of abundance of caution, I hereby declare a potential conflict of interest and abstaining from voting on claims number 707 for the month of November in the consent agenda for this meeting. I have signed and filed this written disclosure with the Secretary of the Board. It is my intent to vote on all other remaining items listed on the consent agenda. My vote on the remainder of the consent items should not be taken as a vote one way or the other on this item, which I have identified, or any other matters set forth therein or related thereto. And again, I'm going to the school board convention this weekend, so that's what this is for. I need a motion for the consent agenda. Back up though, do we need a motion for the resignation?
It's all done at the same time.
Okay, that's why I was confused.
So we already voted and then, we're a little out of order, but we already voted on the consent agenda, is that correct? Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Is everybody okay with that, or do you want to like redo after the claims?
I think, okay. So then we move on to action items. Discuss, consider, and take action to approve the strategic action plan on retention and recruitment.
Thank you. The Strategic Action Planning Committee on Retention and Recruitment presented their plan earlier this evening. The proposed plan can be approved, or you could send it back to the committee for additional work and renovations.
I just have one question. With approving this, it's not an open checkbook. You're gonna keep bringing back ideas and.
Right, so with our strategic action planning goals, we will update the board periodically. Like, our goal is set to be accomplished by 2026. So we would bring things back to the board. Now, some items, like if we come up with a professional development that's needed, that's within the budget, like that individual item might not come back. I don't know what the dollar
Correct.
amount
We
is.
still follow our board policies. So if it's above, I think it's 100,000, it comes to the board for approval. But if it's within an individual's budget and is under that limit, then they can still make those decisions to purchase things.
But we didn't list 100,000 as our professional development amount. You know, we would stay within what our goal is unless we would need to revise our action steps. Does that make sense?
It does. So you can spend 100,000 on this without coming to the board for approval?
If it's within the budget that you approved earlier.
Well, is it?
Not in my budget.
So then, no.
I would have to beg someone else's budget.
I think we better make a motion to approve the Strategic Action Plan Committee to go back and maybe get more information. I feel like I'm not comfortable approving it for $100,000.
Right, so like the approval of the goal is for us to go forward with the professional, like creating the professional development team. That's what is part of the goal. Like, we need to pull together a team to see what professional development our staff want and need. So through 2026, when we plan to meet the goal, like, we wouldn't have this in place for like second semester. We would just be gathering a team, figuring out what staff want and working. You know, a lot of it may not cost the district, so we could start going in and doing things. Same with some of the other pieces of the goal, like we can do an appreciation survey, we can get that plan time survey out. So those are the pieces of the goal that we can get started on. Does that explain?
I think maybe your concern is with board policy related to purchasing, which states that the limit is 100,000. If that's a concern, we could look at that policy during policy committee and see if that limit is too high for this board. But approving the strategic action plan doesn't change anything in regards to our normal budgeting practices or those policies. I mean, it doesn't give any other additional permissions to purchase anything.
That makes sense to me. I just didn't want to, like, here's 100,000, go spend it and good luck. I wanted to make sure. So you're going to put together a plan, a strategic plan within the $10,000 or $12,000 that you had in the proposed.
So that
provisions
is the
tonight.
plan, but like if we decide, like if the committee, like the professional development task force wants to bring in certain PD, we would go through like the purchase order approval process that we currently do through Dr. Thompson. So our committee couldn't just entirely make their own decisions, but could bring the information of here's what the task force would like to do, and then follow those procedures that we have in place already. You're welcome.
I would go ahead then and make a motion to approve the Strategic Action Planning Committee on Retention and Recruitment.
I can second that.
We already have a motion. I think Terry needs to get rid of her first motion.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion, a first motion by Cindy and a second by Terry. Is there any other discussion before we vote on the strategic action planning? Okay, please vote.
Motion carried 4-0.
Discuss, consider, and take action to approve the sale or disposal of old wrestling mats. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. I'm requesting permission to sell one set of old-style wrestling mats. These are the ones where the 3 mats combined to make one large wrestling circle. We've upgraded to newer style mats and no longer use this one. There's 3 mats. Each mat's like 500 pounds. They're big, thick wrestling mats, and 3 of them combined to make one large mat. We plan to use this kind of as a bid process. They can email Mr. Irwin, our AD, with an offer, and we'll close that at noon on Friday, and best offer we have at that point in time would win them, and we'd haul them out.
That money goes into activities then?
Yes, ma'am.
How much approximately do you think these mats are worth?
I hope a lot.
Oh, that.
I mean, you don't see a whole lot of, I mean, not a lot of people have a big area like a gymnasium type garage floor that they want to dedicate to that. Hoping we get, $600, $700, $800 for them.
My concern is that you have on here order disposal, so if you don't get a bid on them, then are you just throwing them in the trash, or what happens then?
Yeah, I see that on there. I guess we could make the motion to approve the sale and just don't need to do the disposal part. I think we have some community people that are interested in them, so that might help us, but never know, after a couple days here, we might get more people interested as well.
I make a motion to approve the sale or disposal of old wrestling mats.
I'm going to just make a comment because I don't like the fact that you could just dispose of it and throw it in the trash, because I think there's people that could use it for other purposes other than wrestling. I would like to take that off of the proposal.
Well, we have a motion, so if we don't have a second, it'll die. Does anybody want to second that motion that includes sale or disposal? So then now that motion has died, so now we can have another motion if you'd like with these wrestling mats.
I'll make a motion that we take action to approve the sale of old wrestling mats.
I can second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the sale only of old wrestling mats. Is there any other discussion? Where do you list these mats on? What website or where?
We'll post them on social media, on our site, Facebook. We'll share that to Madison County Exchange or whatever. I mean, we're assuming somebody local is gonna come buy these. And, you know, again, they can email the AD, John Irwin, with an offer, but we are only taking email offers. They're not gonna take phone offers. We want it in writing of what they're gonna pay.
You have a minimum offer? I mean, do you have a minimum in mind that you would take, or?
Not really. We'll see what's out there. I'm hoping, again, a couple $100, 5, 6, 7.
If they don't sell, then what happens?
Then we'll keep them, I guess.
Can you donate them?
I'm pretty sure they're gonna sell. I've had some people already
A
contacting
smaller
me.
school?
They do have an N on them, but they are, again, we've had people already contacting me that are interested in these mats. I'm pretty sure they're gonna sell.
Enough time on mats?
Please vote. Please vote.
Motion carried 4-0.
9.3, discuss, consider, and take action to approve the purchase of chiller equipment for the senior high school.
I'm gonna let Mr. Wilson cover this one too, because he's on a roll.
Thank you, Madam President, or Vice President. I'm requesting permission to purchase 4 new chillers for the high school for $675,000 from mechanical sales. There's a very small window left where these chillers will be available. The manufacturer has been on site and verifies that their units will work in our setting with minor piping and electrical changes. Once engineering drawings are completed, I'll request permission from the board to release an RFP for installation. So this today is just to get in line to make the purchase for the chillers.
These come with written statements that they will work.
They have signed off on that, yes.
This is just for the public. We, as a board, and Mr. Wilson and Dr. Thompson has worked very, very hard on this. So it sounds like a lot of money, but we need the chillers, and they have their ducks in a row, and I'm very confident that things will come together. I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of chiller equipment for the senior high from mechanical sales for $675,000.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion by Terry and a second by Beth. Is there any other discussion? Even if we purchase them in line, could mean we won't get the equipment until next fall because that backed up.
That is correct.
Please vote.
Motion carried 4-0.
Discuss, consider, and take action to approve revisions of the 2023-2024 PK and K through 12 calendars. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. I am going to give some general information on this, and then I am going to ask Mr. Settles to come up and give some more specific information about the safety concerns that we're trying to address. After multiple discussions with the senior high administration and Mr. Wilson regarding safety concerns during State 1 Act competition, I have decided to ask the board to revise our 2023-2024 pre-K and K-12 calendars. We would like to change Friday, December 8th, 2023 from a normal school day to a staff PD/workday, no school for students. The State 1 Act competition runs from Wednesday through Friday, but it is much busier on Friday when the Class A and B schools compete. It has become very difficult for us to keep patrons out of the school and separate from our students on that day. My draft calendar that is being presented to the calendar committee for 24-25 already includes this day as a staff PD/workday, no school for students. However, we would like to make that change to this year's calendar. Staff would participate in safety standards training, math professional development, special education training, other PD opportunities, and they would be provided with some extra work time that day. We still would have enough instructional hours built into our calendar to meet NDE's requirements, even if we hit our maximum snow days. Mr. Settles, if you would come up and visit a little bit more about the safety concerns and your reason for this request.
Good evening, everyone. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about some of the events that occur at the senior high when we are hosting this event. And I will do my best to give you a little bit of summary so you kind of understand a little bit of the history, but also not take up too much of your time here as well. So we have been hosting the State 1 Acts for all classes at Norfolk Senior High School in the Johnny Carson Theater for almost 10 years. So this has been a big part of what we've done for a long time. It's been great to host this. It's something that we're proud of. We know that it's important to our community. We also have a great theater arts program ourselves that often qualifies and participates in this. And so it's certainly something that we want to do a good job of. And so when we think about this particular event, it does really boil down to two goals, at least thus far, is that we want to be gracious hosts and we want to help put on a great event along with our partners at the Visitors Committee here in town and then also the NSAA. We have thus to this point always continued with a normal bell schedule and school schedule at Norfolk Senior High School. We've always worked to make accommodations and make that work. And it's been increasingly more difficult to do so for really two reasons. Number one, we've continued to evolve as far as our security protocols at our building and what we do on a daily basis to make sure that our building is as safe as possible. And then also the growth of the event itself, which is a great thing. More and more, we see more and more people interested in the One Act's performances, and so those crowds are increasing. So those are two good things, but together they definitely leave us with some challenges. One of the first things that we've done here over the last couple of years is we have tried to work with the NSAA to suggest some changes that would allow us to continue with, once again, a normal school day for us. We have suggested that the NSAA stagger the classifications in the events, much like you see with basketball. When you're in one venue and you would have a smaller class coupled with a larger class so that you could not exceed capacity. We've also suggested that if it was possible, there are 12 sessions, 12 performances that take place in a day, and if we could move the largest class, Class A, to the second session, we would at least have some of those sessions, not all, but some occur after we had dismissed for that day. For a variety of reasons, those requests were not able to be accommodated by the NSAA, and we were running a similar schedule for them as we are for us going forward. We have worked really hard with the NSAA, and they have helped us out on quite a few things when it comes to our needs as far as building security. So they have been a good partner. And on Wednesday and Thursday, when we have Class D and Class C come through the building, we're very confident that we can uphold our security expectations and also be good hosts. So that brings us to the Friday event when the Class A and B classes appear. So these would be the issues that we anticipate having problems with just because we've had them before. Number one would be parking. What we do in order to accommodate our guests is that we ask all of our staff and students to park on the west side of the building and enter through door 16. This has become better because we have added parking over there. Previously, when we had limited parking on that side too, it was difficult for everybody. Now, we are able to accommodate our staff and students on that side of the building and just use one controlled entrance for the day instead of two, and that would be at door 16. On the east side, that is for visitors. Okay, so that provides our handicap parking, our drop-off points, and then all parking for that event. When we go through Wednesday and Thursday with Class Ds and Cs, we are able to accommodate almost all of that without issue in that parking lot with very few issues. When we get to Friday and Saturday, we are not. So you see a lot of illegal parking on medians, blocking driveways, sometimes in lawns, lots of issues with our neighbors, the apartment complexes, the businesses who have private parking, people park there. So we're constantly working with them. We have, through the Visitors Bureau, been able to work with Kings. They've been very good to us and allow some overflow parking there. However, you know, crossing from Kings over to the high school is difficult for some of our visitors, especially those who are elderly or disabled. And so that can definitely lead to some frustration, and that's not exactly what we want for our people that are visiting there. So parking can definitely be a challenge there. The next thing is security, which is just crowd control. One of the things that's unique about this event is that there's really only 15 minutes of downtime between each performance. There's a 30-minute performance and 15 minutes of downtime. And so we really, when the day starts, things look okay. You can fit one group of visitors and one performance in our theater, no matter how large, really without any problems. But once we get into the second, third performance of the day, we're piling up on each other, and we can no longer have people fit within the capacity that we've been given in the theater's lobby area, I guess we would call it. And so we really are faced with two choices then. One would be to have people wait outside. At a lot of NSAA events that you may have witnessed, that's what they do. We've been asked by our Visitors Bureau, and we agree that, you know, the last thing that we want for our visitors is to be standing outside in early December when weather can be a huge factor. So we have always tried to accommodate everybody being inside. But what that leads to is lots of people training back in through a hallway back into our main building. And those, unlike the participants and sponsors who are there, who we account for and give identification to, you know, we don't have the resources to do that with just the guests who are there to watch as spectators. So, you know, once again, as we try and roll through 12 sessions in a day, we just can't meet capacity. The other thing that happens is that it's a crowd that is trying to move very fast. Once again, it's only 15 minutes. If you were thinking about you only have 15 minutes to get somewhere to watch your grandchild or your child perform, and there's all these people in front of you, and we're trying to move people out and move people in 15 minutes, you know, that does lead to a lot of frustration because people are trying to move in and out very quickly because there's not an extended period of waiting time, and that's part of the schedule. So, you know, if there are frustrations or people aren't very happy with how things are going with ticketing or, you know, crowd control, people can get frustrated. NSAA does not provide event staff. That is the host's responsibility. And so even though we have great partners with the Visitors Bureau, that's not really what they're for. They're not there to talk to people who are angry. So a lot of times administration will need to stop what we're doing and go out and work with those visitors on trying to resolve any issues that they may have. So that's really just kind of a rundown of some of the issues that we would face. And so hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea. Certainly I'm open to any questions that you may have about how things work on that day. But I appreciate you considering this. You know, we do not take this request lightly by any means.
I do have a question. So I know that sometimes you do, where the senior high has no school, but the rest of the school has school. For instance, I think district music contest might be one of those days. Is there a reason why you're including, or are you including K through 12 through this then, or are you just asking for a 9 through 12?
My request is for school to be out pre-K-12. We get a lot of feedback from our other staff members if they are required to teach and work, and the senior high is not. They talk about equity issues.
Does that also make it easier for professional development if all teachers are available for that?
Yes, and some of the things that we are offering that day are for all teachers, pre-K through 12. The other issue, no, never mind, I was going to talk about childcare, but that's not true. I have that backwards, so, yep.
I just want to comment that I don't know how you've done it this far without letting school out, because it is really a mass of people that come in, and all those things are very true. And so I totally understand your situation. I'm in support of it.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed revisions to the 2023-2024 PK and K through 12 calendars.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Beth and a second by Cindy. Is there any other discussion? Please vote.
Motion carried 4-0.
9.5, discuss, consider, and take action to approve the renewal of the softball cooperative agreement with Norfolk Catholic and Lutheran High Northeast. Dr. Thompson.
The renewal of our cooperative agreement with Norfolk Catholic and Lutheran High Northeast for softball is due to the NSAA by December 1st. This has been a strong collaboration for a number of years with a tradition of success. Furthermore, facility issues would become problematic if we had separate competing teams. Mr. Irwin and the Activities Committee recommended the renewal of this co-op.
Do they split the cost, just as a new school board member, I don't know, do they split the cost equally, or how does the cost work?
Norfolk Public Schools pays for everything. Many of the patrons would say that the parents of those students do pay property taxes, and so there may be some financial kickback there. But no, we do not get any additional funding for cooperating with them.
I'll make a motion to approve the renewal of our softball cooperative agreement with Norfolk Catholic and Lutheran High Northeast.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion by Terry and a second by Beth. Is there any other discussion? Please vote.
Motion carried 4-0.
9.6, discuss, consider, and take action to approve the second and final reading of board policies 4001 through 4012 related to personnel. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. No changes have been made to these policies since their first reading. I will be kind and read them so that the person doing the motion does not have to. 4001, recruitment and selection. 4002, equal opportunity employment. 4003, anti-discrimination, anti-harassment, and anti-retaliation. 4003A, notice of non-discrimination. 4003B, complaint form. 4004, duty hours of employees. 4005, absence of employees. 4006, absence from building. 4007, family and medical leave policy. 4007A, family and medical leave policy documents. 4008, adoption leave. 4009, drug and substance use and abuse with attached appendix. 4010, intellectual property and work for hire. 4011, bloodborne pathogen compliance plan. 4012, infectious diseases.
I just have a comment before, can I make a comment before, or do we have to make a motion and then discuss it?
Typically, we're supposed to make a motion first and then discuss. We're not very good at following that all of the time, but it is the proper protocol.
Just like to make a motion to postpone this because we're missing 2 board members. I think that's quite a bit, and these are some really important board policies. And I would like to see if we could postpone it until we have a full, or at least more than what we have right now as far as people.
Well,
here
this
to
is a
discuss.
second reading, and I think they all passed 6-0 the last time. So I would agree with you if there was contention the last time, but I think they're all pretty straightforward.
We did pass them. This is just a second reading. Something specifically, there's a concern?
I did have some questions.
Would you like to ask your questions?
No, it would take too long.
I make a motion to approve the second and final reading of board policies 4001 through 4012 related to personnel.
I'd like to second the motion. Approve the final reading of board policies 4001 through 4012 related to personnel. Is there any other discussion? Do we want to talk about any of them, or questions, comments?
I just want to say that I'm confused because we've had an entire month and I've not gotten any questions or comments in that month. That would have been helpful to have before tonight. But I don't want people to approve something they're not comfortable with either, so.
Please vote.
Motion carried, 3-1.
Discuss, consider, and take action to approve the second and final reading of Board Policy 8152, Standing Committee on Negotiations. Dr. Thompson.
No changes have been made to this policy since the first reading.
And this board policy is just, we're adding another person to the negotiations committee so that we have 3 on this committee also, like every other committee we have.
I make a motion to approve the second and final reading of Board Policy 8152, the Standing Committee on Negotiations.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion by Beth and a second by Cindy. Is there any other discussion? Please vote.
Motion carried, 4-0.
Because of that vote, now we have discuss, consider, and take action to approve the addition of Lindsay Dixon to the negotiations committee. Unless Terry or Cindy want to jump in quick, being Lindsay's not here? Okay. Thompson.
Lindsay Dixon did previously express an interest in joining this committee. With her addition, the membership of this committee would be comprised of Sandy Wolf, Beth Shashikant, and Lindsay Dixon.
Make a motion to approve the addition of Lindsay Dixon to the Negotiations Committee.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion by Beth and a second by Terry. Is there any other discussion about adding Lindsay? Means she's got a meeting next week. Please vote.
Motion carried, 4-0.
Okay, the second monthly meeting of the Board of Education will be scheduled for the end of November. The next regular meeting of the Board of Education will be held on Monday, December 11th, 2023. The regular business meeting will begin at 5:30. All components of these meetings will be held at the MPS Central Administration offices and will begin open to the public unless executive session is needed in order to protect the interest of the district or the reputation of the individual.
Can I add, I did receive confirmation that we can have at least 5 people available, so we will schedule the second meeting of the month for Monday, November 27th at noon.
Executive session is needed to discuss negotiations with the teachers, and we'll need to go in executive session. Do I have a motion to convene into executive session?
I'll make a motion to convene executive session to protect the interest of the district in order to discuss negotiations.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion by Beth and a second by Cindy. Please vote.
Motion carried, 4-0.
I do not anticipate that we will take any action following the executive session tonight.